Hey everyone, Jay here, and this is my review of Dirt 4, a game that came out about a month ago from the time you're watching this video. As everyone knows, Dirt 4 was developed by Codemasters, and it's a rally sim or rally arcade game depending on your preferences. We'll get back to that in a bit. Before I proceed, I'd also like to mention that I did play Dirt Rally, so I do have an idea of how the simulation handling might be. What I will say, however, is that it was very hard for me to play Dirt Rally, which is why, when I got Dirt 4, I straightaway hopped into gamer handling. I had an excellent experience with Dirt 3. Dirt Rally was almost impossible, so I thought, you know what, I do not want to grind my fingers into dust. Let's go to Dirt 4's gamer handling model, which is more like Dirt 3. So what can I say about the handling model? Because I think that's going to be the most important thing about this review. Now, I haven't tried the simulation mode, as I said before, not my thing. But for the gamer handling, I'm very glad to see that it is actually a huge improvement from what was in Dirt 3. In Dirt 3, cars felt light, fast, and agile, ridiculously agile. You could go around corners and all that, no problem. Your speed would be at ridiculous amounts and you have no problem handling corners and stuff. Dirt 3 cars were light. You could drift around a corner very easily. There was no real need to measure for inertia or momentum or whatever. In Dirt 4, however, the cars aren't as grippy. They're still much grippier than the simulation handling, but the cars are also weighty and heavy. This means that when taking a corner, you're gonna have to take a lot more things into consideration. Dirt 4's handling model is actually an evolution of Dirt 3's. It's deeper, it requires a lot more strategy, and it requires a lot more skill to handle. And I really like it. It means that even as a gamer playing gamer handling, you're still pretty much forcing yourself to drive in a much tougher situation, which is actually a good thing. There's a lot of depth even in the gamer handling model. If you're having trouble getting used to the Dirt 4 gamer handling, I really recommend you head into Dirtfish Academy just for the free play. Drive around, slam your car here and there worry free. Get to grips with how your car feels when taking corners and stuff, and soon enough you'll be passing through consecutive left 6 and right 6 with no problem. I'm also really impressed with their way of choosing a difficulty mode. First, before you even get into the career proper, they give you sort of a test run, a dry run I guess you could say, where you can choose your handling model between gamer and simulation. So when choosing gamer, for example, I went through the tutorial and finished the course. Upon completion of the course, they will recommend you a difficulty level for the AI, along with any other optional assists that will be enabled or disabled depending on your skills. Now in my case, most of my assists were turned off, including braking assist and traction assist, and I had to turn off a few others like engine braking and stuff like that. Difficulty wise, the AI is actually pretty decent. I'm always about a few seconds off from second place. So there's still a bit of a challenge trying to get to first, but it's not so much a difficult hill to climb or an obstacle to overcome. It's more of a realization of your fantasies. You play games to escape reality, and what better way than to give you the chance to win, but not make it too easy or too hard that it either doesn't feel worthwhile or requires too much effort. Sometimes you just want to lay back and win and be good at something, and this game really does provide that. Before I head on and talk more in depth about the rally modes and the land rush modes and the rally cross, let's talk about the visuals. Now, Codemaster racing games tend to really look beautiful, no matter on what spec you're playing it on, whether lowest or high. On my computer, I'm playing it at 1366 by 768, and most settings are at either medium or high, so it's not exactly the best of the best settings I could see, but even then, it still looks great. The lighting effects are really good. For example, during night stages, if you slam on the brakes, you can see the exhaust smoke coming out as well and being lit up by the red light. So that's pretty cool. The lighting effects are much improved. Overall visual quality is actually pretty good. Everything looks sharp, crisp and clear. I do feel that, and this might be because of my lowered settings, sometimes the track from really far off looks really muddy and blurred, and this is despite turning up anisotropy. Overall, the game looks really good. I do have to give special mention to the fog stages. Codemasters, you've done a really great job here. The fog stages are hands down some of the scariest driving experiences I've ever had to face in a racing game. You can barely see ahead of your car, and you're still expected to go at full speed to try and get the best time possible in a stage. So just imagine you're heading down a straight, and it's all foggy, you can't see in front of you, and then your co-driver says, right 1. You pretty much feel like you're screwed. you can't really prepare yourself to take a right one when going up at high speed when you can't even see it. And the thing is, when your co-driver says it, it's really hard to anticipate when that right one is coming because you can't see it until it's a bit too late. So you end up nervously accelerating and braking just to try and maintain a relatively good speed, just so that you don't end up overshooting the turn. The night stages also deserve special mention. In Dirt 3, it wasn't exactly pitch black. Even with the lights off, you could still see pretty well around you. In Dirt 4, it's really pitch black at night. You can only see what your headlights show you. This is actually a really well implemented night stage by Codemasters. Fortunately, their visibility is much better than fog stages, so they're not too bad, but that one point where I had a night fog stage was even worse. I mean, honestly speaking, I just can't get over how well done the fog stages are. They really put you on the edge of your seat. I'd also like to talk a bit about the track generation. Now, how it works is, it's not completely procedurally generated. Instead, what they do is that they assemble tiles, sort of, like attach it one to the other, like track pieces. And then each of those tiles have their relevant co-driver callouts as well. And honestly speaking, it's pretty well implemented. It's really smooth. There are no weird sudden bumps and glitches here and there. And it honestly looks really seamless. It almost looks handcrafted. Let's talk about the core 3 racing modes in Dirt 4. There's of course Core Rally, there's Land Rush, and there's Rally Cross. So the Rally mode is pretty much what you'd expect from Dirt 3, but with a few more additions to make it more in-depth. For starters, between stages, you will have the option to visit a service area where you can repair your vehicle, and this takes up time and money, which means you need to manage how much time and money you're using up during the repair stages. Exceeding the time allocated for repairs will result in a time penalty, which means setting back your position even further. So there's this balancing game of what repairs should be taken priority over others. So overall, there's a lot more depth in the rally stages, and generally these are multi-event stages where they occur over a number of days in different locations. So they're tiring, they're more endurance races, but the feeling of rally racing has never been better presented in a game. So really, there's not much to say about the rally mode. It's just an evolution of Dirt 3 again. So let's talk about Land Rush. Now, Land Rush is split between 3 vehicles: buggies, trucks, and a new addition to Dirt 4, crosscarts. So I'll be talking about these 3 vehicles individually. Buggies are easily my favorite of the Land Rush vehicles. They are easy to control, easy to get into a slide, and honestly a lot of fun. Once you get used to the handling model a little bit, you find yourself sort of turning into a drift more often than not, just to be able to get that bit better time, but also because it just looks cool and it's so easy to control that I honestly really enjoyed it. Next would be the trucks, which are these big, hulking, heavy behemoths. They require a lot more strategy when entering a corner. Judicious application of the brake and the handbrake will be needed in order to be able to take a hairpin easily. As expected, these are big and heavy vehicles. They need more effort to be able to get around a corner. I'm glad that these trucks aren't for some reason ridiculously light and agile like what was shown in Dirt 3. Next we have crosscarts, easily my least favorite vehicle in the game. The car is light and agile, which should be great, but it's just too tail happy. Now I understand that I could have just gone into the tuning and adjusted the settings a bit so that it's a bit more stable, but I've raced all vehicles up to this point without messing with the tuning, so there should be some level of consistency across all vehicles. Unfortunately, crosscarts were really hard to control. This could also be because of the nature of the car being very hard to control when using a mouse and keyboard, or specifically a keyboard. I'd end up having to tap the accelerate key a lot more just to be able to keep it under control. Perhaps on a controller it's easier, but for me I didn't really have a good experience driving a crosscart in a Land Rush event. Overall it's pretty fun, and honestly no complaints aside from crosscart. Finally we have Rallycross, where they have 2 vehicles, the crosscarts and regular cars, but I'm only be talking about the regular cars. Rallycross was the one that I was really curious about because in Dirt 3, rally events and rallycross events had 2 different handling models. Cars tended to be a lot more drift happy, a lot lighter, a lot faster in rallycross. So when I got into Dirt 4's rallycross, I was pleased to find that the cars pretty much handle exactly the same as their rally counterparts. During the rally stages, there are certain parts when you're on asphalt, and I'm glad to see that even in rallycross events, nothing has changed. It's still the same asphalt handling from the rally stages, so your skills are very transferable. It's good to see that they didn't decide to use two different handling models and instead decided to keep it consistent across the stages. I'm glad that they maintained that, and the rallycross events are quite fun. The Joker laps are interesting. I know they're pretty much a regular thing found in rallycross events, but of course I've never watched these, so yeah, it's a pretty cool addition, and I'm very pleased with rallycross. So I've sung praises about the game, I'm pretty much happy with almost everything, but if there's one place where I wish they would improve, it would definitely be the co-driver. Now, due to the nature of the procedural generation, each tile has its own callouts that the co-driver just reads out. Unfortunately, that also means that in certain places, your co-driver will tend to call out too much. For example, if you have consecutive left 6s and right 6s, she'll be calling out each and every right 6 and left 6, even though to you it's more or less a straight road that you can take easily. So maybe they need to be able to analyze what's coming up. Only if it's a very severe turn should they actually ask the co-driver to call it out. Also, at times they aren't fast enough. For example, and this happened to me in a race, the co-driver said left 6, right 6, left 5. But the problem is I was already taking the right 4 that came after the left 5 because, I was just too fast. So they need to kind of speed up a bit. And another thing is that they don't tend to adapt to the speed of your vehicle. By all accounts, if you are going really fast, your co-driver should call out sharp turns earlier to warn you better so that you can better anticipate how to take the corner. Other than that really minor issue in the grand scheme of things, I've really got no problems with Dirt 4. It's a fantastic game. Those who are wondering whether it's actually worth picking up if you're new to the series, I definitely recommend it. It's a great place to get started on. It's easy enough to handle, there's a lot of depth to the handling even for gamer handling, and yeah, it's a pretty good experience for newcomers and veterans alike. Fans of Dirt Rally may find some fun in the simulation mode. They might not like the fact that it's a lot grippier, but overall, if you're looking for a better challenge with a more updated and expanded game with several different other modes, Dirt 4 is the place to go. I definitely recommend it. So this is Jay signing off. Do check out this game on Steam and give the developers some support. As always, till the next one.